Welcome to Geek Crash, a podcast dedicated to kicking open the door to your next favorite thing. Our mission, our creed, and our code is this: to make all things more approachable and accessible to everyone. We want you to find a universe that you'll fall in love with. My name is Dan, and my pronouns are he, him.
My name is Jake, and my pronouns are also he, him.
Sorry if there's a little extra background noise for me this week. My air conditioner is still broken, so my windows are open. And I live near a highway, or not really a highway. I live near a motorcycle shop where everyone has to rev their engines all day. And then the
why aren't you going?
Street.
Well, hold on. Why aren't you going to hang out with them?
With the motorcycle guys?
Yeah,
it's like a mechanic shop. I don't really know if I would fit in.
Dan. I mean, you're already your stolen Valor Carhartt on.
Carhartt?
Yeah. I mean, all you need is a little leather vest.
Yeah, she's back. Corey is back. She's been literally walking around the house screaming. Is there any particular reason you're like this? Any?
She's a cat.
No, she's normally quiet. She's just walking around going, mah, 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 mah. Like,
no, she does that. Anytime I'm there, she does that.
When it's just us, she's not she's not noisy all day. Oh, you just want attention? You just want to be in the show? So, yeah, but Corey is in here for this one. She's really just not.
Is her beanbag out?
Yeah, no, her bed is out. Everything, any possible thing that she could have is currently there. But now get the hell out of here, you! She's in the wires now. Get out of here.
Good for her.
So, this is the first episode of 4 episodes we're calling Music Mayhem. We decided to cover some music because a lot of the albums that we love are turning 10 years old. We got to see the Menzingers do their 10-year album tour. This band we have not.
Yeah. I've been to a few 10-year album tours. I was to the Say Anything's Is a Real Boy.
That was this year? Oh no, that was a few years ago. Yeah.
That was years ago.
Yeah, I haven't been to many. But today we're talking about, I know it's one of my favorite bands. I don't know if it's one of yours, but the Wonder Years.
Well, they're good. They're up there.
We are talking about the Wonder Years, who's one of the big, would you say Philly sound bands? Like they're like one of the big ones. We are talking
right now,
yeah, we're talking about The Greatest Generation from 2013.
The last record in the trilogy about growing up.
When did you start listening to the Wonder Years?
High school?
Because I remember, 10 years, this would have been, I remember listening to this album for the first time because one of the people I hung out with, I think my junior year, because I had just turned 21, was a huge Wonder Years and all that fan. So that's like where I really got into this album, like probably close to when it came out. So I've been listening to them pretty closely ever since. Did we see them on Sister City's tour?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we saw them Sister City's tour. It was a good show. They're really good performers, but they're one of the bands that I listen to probably the most. I've probably listened to this album 20 times in the past week, like straight through.
Dang.
I can listen to them pretty endlessly on repeat, and I can't do that with much. I'm not a big repeater. I don't like cycles. So, Jake,
I've been listening to a song called Vilgax.
What?
It's a song called Vilgax. I've been listening to that a lot.
By who?
Mellow punk.
Sure.
Yep.
How would you, if you had to give a back of the box blurb, like if you had to elevator pitch Wonder Years, how would you pitch it?
Are you angsty? Do you like Philadelphia but also kind of hate it? Then the Wonder Years are for you. Do you also like Campbell's and chicken noodle soup?
Oh, I just realized that now.
You never picked up on that?
No, I just knew they called him.
His name is Dan Campbell. Call him Soupy.
They called him Soupy, but it never connected in my brain that it was because Campbell. Campbell's is nationwide, right? Is that
I assume so.
So Campbell's?
I mean, it's on the what was it? Jack and Pop? Who did that one?
Andy Warhol.
Andy Warhol.
Andy Warhol. Yeah, it was Andy Warhol.
I don't fucking.
You
say like I'm supposed to fucking know all this fucking pop art bullshit. I could rattle off like 20. I don't give a shit about
Andy Warhol is the pop artist. He's like the biggest. He was in Watchmen.
All right, whatever, you pretentious fuck.
It's not pretentious at all. It's so easy to know. Andy Warhol is like one of the biggest artists of all time. It's not like I'm like rattling off someone that no one knows. This is like a household name.
Dan, I don't listen to the radio. Calm down.
He actually...
I'm just fucking with you.
David Bowie wrote a song about him, and they got into a fight. But...
no, I know. I've heard that story before.
Campbell's is the soup.
I just couldn't remember Andy Warhol's name.
Campbell's soup is from Camden, New Jersey. So, like, right near me. My pitch would be... have you ever woken up next to stale beer and an open box of pizza and just have had serious depression? Then the Wonder Years is the band for you. The Wonder Years is the band for you.
Dan, fake fan.
Yeah. They have been a mainstay. All right, you're super anal about this. What would you say their genre is?
Pop punk.
Okay, so that's what was it? Emo easycore? Is that what you said about another band?
Oh yeah. Yeah. You're a big easycore guy.
Yeah, easycore is when you can like actually understand the words people say, right?
Oh God, I'm not. It'll take a lot to explain this.
I'm just gonna click easycore.
Easycore is also a weird thing that I have trouble understanding.
Easycore is a genre that merges pop punk elements with metalcore. Yeah. It often uses breakdowns, screamed vocals, major key progressions, and riffs and synthesizers. Yeah, this is the kind of stuff. I don't like Sum 41 or Newfound Glory. I don't really like A Day to Remember. I do like 4 Years Strong.
Yeah, that's why I said you like it, because I knew 4 Years Strong is technically that.
Yeah, I like 4 Years Strong a lot. Yeah. I like that. I'm an big easycore guy.
That's actually probably the best explanation of that I've heard.
Yeah.
Anytime I've ever looked it up, I'm like, man, what does that really fucking mean? I always get some bullshit thing.
Yeah, it's their early easycore, it says. It's just more like I'm not super into the whole. I don't want to hear yelling the whole time. I can't do it. I've never been into that. I mean, like maybe at the gym I'm into it, but like not every day.
I like my hardcore sung by angry femmes who like to sing about tough guy shit.
Isn't that aren't you covering a band like that later this month?
Yes.
So we've got more coming. So, Wonder Years. We are covering The Greatest Generation for its 10-year anniversary. 10-year anniversary.
10 year.
A little bit about the band. The Wonder Years is an American pop-punk band from Lansdale, Pennsylvania that formed in July 2005. The band currently consists of Dan Soupy Campbell's lead vocals, and he writes most of it. Casey Cavallari, lead guitar, backing vocals, Matt Brash, guitar and vocals, Josh Martin, bass and vocals, Nick Stainborn, keyboards, guitar, backing vocals, and Mike Kennedy, drums and percussion. They're incredible live. So, what would you say the themes of this album are? Other than the growing up, because like that's like this trilogy.
Yeah, because it's this. Yeah, it's the trilogy of the what's the first one? What's the first record called? It's just Wonder Years.
The first record?
Yeah.
Sleeping on Trash?
Yeah, Sleeping on Trash.
Sleeping on Trash, Suburbia. I've given you all that. I've given you all and now nothing.
Hold on.
The Upsides?
Sleeping on Trash is not the... Yes, Upsides is the first record.
Oh. Yeah.
Sleeping on Trash is a Rarities.
Oh, okay. So it's Upsides, Suburbia, I've given you all, and then this.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, other than like growing up, I think a lot of it deals with like...
depression, insecurity.
Yeah. Not knowing
anxiety.
Where you're going or where you've been. Like, not knowing
feeling
what's
like
next.
You're behind.
Yeah. Stability is it comes up multiple times throughout the album. It's really just like trying to figure out who you are now and what you want to become, because depression is a hell of a thing. I think it deals with a lot of the major themes that you hear in a lot of this type of music, and this album is kind of like, for me, it's like
I don't know.
one of
This
those,
doesn't talk a lot about hating your hometown.
no, that's in they don't actually talk a ton about hating your hometown.
They don't. They really don't. They really like Philadelphia and Lane.
It is weird because they do like Philadelphia, but they also talk a lot about family. They actually like Dan Campbell is like a big family guy, and it comes up in a lot of this music, and especially this album where he's like dealing with that, trying to figure out what matters to him. But yeah, there's a lot going on in this album. This is like one of those like
a lot of imagery, a lot of vivid imagery.
Yeah. This is one of those albums where like if you're like, oh, pop punk, I would hand you this album and be like, this is what I think it is.
Yeah, no, I think this is actually where he hits that point of great lyrics, like in songwriting. And because I'm trying to remember, who was it, just him on this one? I don't remember when he started writing with Ace.
I think Ace Ender's a little later because they did a thing together too, didn't they?
Yeah, no, there was a tour around this time that they went.
Yeah, because Ace Enders is a really good lyricist too, isn't he? Ace Enders is the singer
of
the Early November.
Yeah,
and he's like he's a producer now, right?
Yeah, he does that. He's been doing that for years.
So, for who may like,
he did. I think it was mainly Aaron West stuff.
Yeah.
And Oldest Garden.
That's Soupy's side project. So, who may like this? I think, and if people, so anyone who likes this, like emo, whoever's never felt like enough, or you're trying to figure out who you are, or you've struggled with that in the past. A lot of these songs, like I'm 30 now. This album found me when I was 21, and I'm a very different person I am now than I was then. And it's something that I really like the Wonder Years for, because I've wanted to write a piece about this, but it's the only band that I feel like I have grown with, not that I have grown up with. If that makes sense. Like their music and their lyrics and their sensibilities have grown over time in their music and lyrics and all that stuff, as I have also grown, because like the newest album is a lot more like older problems rather than like this. So yeah, it's.
I think he's still in tune with some level of angst.
Yeah,
but
I think
and a more adult angst of, because there's some description. It was some TikTok I saw earlier today being like, yeah, I feel I'm in my like 39 or something like that, but I still feel like I'm 22. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing.
Was it the guy I sent you? Who writes those incredible
so.
TikToks? I can't remember his name off the top of my head. I don't want to turn on my sound.
Yeah, I couldn't remember if that just popped up on my FYP or you sent it.
Yeah, I watch a lot of his videos. Let me find his name just because I do think people should watch his stuff, because he writes his TikToks before he records them. Blake of Today. He's that type of person, and if you have TikTok and you want to hear this, like, you should really watch his videos, because
don't believe that Ken guy. He overstepped the farce.
What Ken guy?
Oh, you haven't heard about the guy who's investigating the murders in Chicago?
No, I don't care. Yeah, so
the more you listen to him, the more it's just a big ad for his event planning app.
That is wild. It's about an event planning app, and he's investigating murders. What murders? Yeah. Like, wait, is he in Chicago?
Like people ending up floating up on the rivers and shit.
Like recent deaths?
Yeah.
What events is he planning? Murder?
No, he's just using the app to like map it out. And like he's pretending like he's a part of like some big investigation, and then he like overstepped, and then people started calling him out for it. Yeah. Like if you listen to like the first, like one of them, you're like, oh, that's interesting. And you give it a follow, and then you start like actually like hearing him talk more and more, and it's like, oh, I'm with this and meeting up with this investigator. Oh, I'm contacting the FBI. It just becomes so far fetched that you're like, what the fuck is this guy going on about now?
It's like us using the podcast. We just become investigative journalists just to push the reviews we put on the website. that was a grisly murder. But please check out our Guardians of the Galaxy 3 review coming out on Thursday. Like,
Is it coming out on Thursday?
yeah, I see it tomorrow.
Oh.
Yeah.
Hey!
Hard pivot.
Actual
actual use of human life.
Also happy Anakin Skywalker Day, Dan.
Oh yeah, and Fortnite I already bought it all. But I what was I gonna say? I hate true crime.
Stale beer and sweat.
Yeah, stale beer and sweat. God.
I got very deep into this podcast hole of daughters of serial killers trying to rectify what their fathers did.
Is that a
multiple?
I was gonna say, is that a large genre?
It happened at least twice.
All right. Well, that's okay. Let's so where can you get this? You can stream this wherever you stream your music, but you can also buy the vinyl or the albums anywhere you get those these days. So if you have local record stores, things like that. We can plug Third Eye Comics because Third Eye Games sells records, or is it in the comics store? So Third Eye Games does sell records, so you can always get them there as well.
Where they are picked out by people who know music. I know for a fact that the former guitarist of the band Have Mercy, who's gone on multiple tours, works there and has been involved in ordering records.
Wild.
He's a good dude.
So, we are talking The Greatest Generation. We're going to go track by track. I have handwritten notes. I don't typically do that, especially for this. I probably haven't done
it's because you felt old.
Yeah, this did make me feel old.
Yeah, he wrote this by hand with a pen
quill
and inkwell.
I actually think it's the first time I've killed a pen in forever. Like the ink ran out in the pen, and I was like, how often do I write that I'm killing a pen? But yeah, so go listen to the album, or you can do track by track with us. We'll probably talk about some more than others, but we are going to kick it off with the first track from the album, There.
There.
All right, so what are your thoughts on There? Like, what stood out to you the most?
It starts almost immediately with vocals.
Yeah.
It's a great hook. Like it literally goes into, you're just trying to read and I'm always standing in your light. Like but I always wake you up to apologize. You're just trying to sleep. But I always wake you up to apologize. It just comes out of the gate of, hi, I'm insecure and I have other mental illnesses and I'm worried about how they affect you.
Yeah. It's a hard opening. That's what I was going to ask. What, like, in music, what is your opinion on the first track? What should it do to set the tone?
Okay, so in music, I'm not a big listener of just like full records. Like I will listen to all of them, and then I will pick the songs, and they'll go into my playlist of things that make me think about shit. But when I do listen to records, it's kind of like how I like any written thing. Like I like a punch. Like I want to be hooked as quickly as possible. I want to know what's going on. I don't like the you know how their intros will be just instrumental. Like I skip those.
Oh, I like those. I like listening to albums front to back for probably the first couple of times, and then I might put them in a playlist or anything. But I really do like albums complete. For me, I think I'm way more into like, I want the lyrics to kind of set the tone. Like, what is this album going to explore?
Yeah, it's not even that I don't like instrumentals. Like, I like the bands that are only instrumental, but like, I don't know. Like, it feels like those intros can just be something that leads into a larger song. But then again, I don't curate music playlists and curate records. I probably should actually ask my friend about that. My buddy about that. But that's just like. Then again, I always like singing, so that's my thing. But it's a really punchy introduction that sets the tone of what you're gonna hear.
Yeah, I mean,
and it goes about how he's awkward and nervous. Is this what it feels like with my wings clipped? I'm awkward and nervous. I'm awkward. And nervous.
The chorus, I'm sorry, I don't laugh at the right times is a really good thing because if you're awkward, you're gonna sometimes feel you just start laughing. Like you're not. It's not like
us at churches.
Yeah, like things you're not supposed to be laughing at. It's just who you are and your own sensibilities, and it's like, yeah, but that doesn't come off the same way to everybody, so you have to like be mindful of that, and sometimes it puts you out, like it makes you the outsider. So it's a really strong start there for people who feel that way, which is why I think this album has always connected with so many people, because it does start and it doesn't slow down till midway through, because we'll talk about it later, but there is like a slowdown in the album before the final two songs are my two of my favorites. It just goes right into it. It doesn't. It's I really love the I don't laugh at the right times. I really like that line.
Yeah, that's a great one.
So let's move on to. Do you have anything else to say about this one?
No, I've already clicked on the lyrics for "Passing Through the Screen Door."
So "Passing Through the Screen Door," the first thing that I wrote is, "I'm conjuring ghosts on a 40-hour ride home, and they keep asking me what I'm doing with my life." That fucking hits, because it's this idea that you're sitting in the car and you're in your own head, like constantly. I am asking myself what these people think. Like, who else? Like, they're not there. They're not thinking in these things, and it's only me putting that on myself. And
and for him, it's really about he's conjuring like these ghosts that are saying, like, taunting him at the idea of where is he at in life? Why does he feel, making him feel like he's behind? Because his first sentence, while my cousins go to bed with their wives, feel like I'm falling behind. And who doesn't feel like that?
Yeah, it's
when you're the last one living at home.
Yeah. So again, I was a younger man when I listened to all this, and it was like you're seeing all these people do all these amazing things and work amazing jobs, and like I got out of college and I worked at Super 8. Like, I'm like, what the fuck did I do wrong? And
I was gonna say I'm still kind of in that.
Yeah.
Even though a few years after graduating college, I'm like, fuck me.
And the thing
then again, pandemic.
And then, it's a song.
Growing, recession.
Yeah. It's watching. It's the line that tears the screen door. You're seeing what other people are doing, but they're not. Yeah, they're not looking back.
There's also like an aspect of him like self-sabotaging himself and running.
100%. Because he's like, waiting for the next disaster. Because he's like, I've been waiting.
He's looking for a reason
disaster
to leave.
Yeah.
I mean, these first few are clearly about a relationship he's in, and I think that comes back later on in Madeline.
Yeah. There is a really good line. I think it's in this one. I keep a flashlight and a small knife in the corner of my bedstand. I keep a flashlight in the train's times, but you wouldn't understand. He is talking to someone. He is actively having his escape plan, because he talks about anytime he leaves a room, he's just looking for his way out when he fucks up. I think I'm not sure if it's in this one. The first thing I do when I walk in is look for a way a way out when shit gets bad. Like, you're walking into the room knowing you're probably gonna fuck up whatever situation you've walked in, and you have to know your way out. Like, not sure there's anything more relatable to people who deal with mental illness, because you are You are your own worst enemy, and this album really is about that.
Yeah,
and it's not your fault.
Yeah,
That's
and
the problem.
A lot of it's like failure to start, and like
Yeah,
it is. It's super relatable.
yeah. I think the failure the start thing. I think it's good. This song talks about it because it's like you're the one. You're the only one in your own journey, and I think sometimes people forget that because you are the one also conjuring those fucking ghosts, being like, "Why aren't you here? Why aren't you doing what this person's doing?"
Mm-hmm.
And that is one of my biggest faults. But the line that
I connect a lot with this song because it's like, oh yeah, I'm fucking scared to move forward, so either I'm gonna run away or I'm not gonna fucking start it.
Yeah, and that's the thing that like stuck out most to me listening to it now than it would before. It's not the ghosts line because there's other stuff in this where I'm seeing like the things I do to myself, but it's the I don't want my children growing up to be anything like me. That one hurts because like I'm self-admittedly I'm at the point where I'm going to get married in the next 2 years, and then despite all the pressure of everyone telling us we should, like, when are you gonna have kids and things like that, and people asking those questions, it's scary because like
you have kids, they're called the cats and the dog.
Right, but I don't want to have like I don't. It's
don't
scary
to my nieces.
It is scary to think about having children and being mentally ill.
Yeah, no, I can imagine that.
Yeah, like dealing with it all the time isn't something you want someone else to do.
No. Especially because like you got the family history of
oh my god, yeah,
we're gonna get talking about that in The Devil in My Bloodstream.
Yeah, it's rough. This album was rough to listen to, and I cried listening to it, writing all this because like everything is so internalized all the time. The act of physically writing all of this was like, oh shit, music is cathartic. I mean, I knew it, but
yeah, music is cathartic.
That's what I meant to look up. So,
see, I was eating a cookie while you were writing my notes.
Yeah, I actually did. I had one of your cookies when I started it, but I ate it.
You still have cookies?
It was the last one. I didn't realize it was on the counter. It was under a piece of mail. Give me a second. Yeah, let's go into track 3 with "We Could Die Like This."
We could die like this. This one doesn't start with a punch of lyrics. This is the first song that didn't have that in this record. Like, it builds into it. It's like a slow build, and then it's kind of just hitting us with what I think Soupy does great in this record is a lot of imagery and like, but he does it differently this time. It is smell that he goes for first.
Yeah, so I wanted to talk about that because he talks about how the brand that his grandmother smoked, and both of our great-grandparents. So we grew up. Our family was very close. So like our families would always be over for parties and stuff like that, and I think this is probably going to be more closer to people who live in this area to know these types of names. Like Pop and Nan would be on the front porch smoking cigarettes with Grandpa, Grandmom, and I don't think Pop or Poppy smoked at that point. Or maybe from the beginning of our lives he did, and then he quit later on.
He did. I think he was quitting, but he was still sit out there.
Yeah,
Poppy quit.
Yeah, so
I don't think Pop did.
It's such a oh no, Pop never quit. He died.
He died of cancer.
Yeah, he died of cancer. But it's like it's such a the thing that I love about the Wonder Years and the Menzingers personally is that like we know these situations. Like with the part what is it? They have what's the name of the album? I'm blanking on it. It's like one of my favorite albums of all time. The Menzingers After Party. After
the Party.
Yeah, After the Party. It's like it's a Catholic carnival. The theme is that.
Yeah.
Like I have that every year down the street at St. Charles. Like it's like a thing that's been in my life forever. But that the talking about the brand that his grandmother smoked, because Nan smoked Virginia Slims, from what I remember. I don't remember what Charlie smoked or anything like that, but it's such a vivid memory
I was actually trying to think of that because
he smoked Reds, Cowboy Killers.
I
think he was Marlboro. I think he was a Marlboro man. It was a gold label. That's all I remember. But the one line
I'll be able to tell you, we picked up enough of his fucking boxes. I think it might have been Cowboy Killers.
There's a there's a line, and it's
no, I think there was some. I think his brand was like red, white, and blue.
I don't smoke a lot of cigarettes, to be honest with you, so I don't know all the brands.
Just when you're drunk, right?
Yeah, it's a light blue label probably with a gold band around the center. Anyway, verse 2: these northeast winters make boys into men, staring at snow-plowed mountains in the parking lots of churches. Very, very familiar signs. But the second half of that, the city just felt worn out, no strength to pick our hearts off the ground. We watched the 92 Birds take the field without Jerome Brown. Jerome Brown was a player who died in a car accident, like tragically. And he was like people loved him.
The hometown hero.
What'd you say?
Is it hometown hero the word you were looking for?
No, he wasn't from.
Yeah, I don't think. I mean, most people aren't.
But when you play for Philadelphia, like you're.
Yeah.
But
you're idolized.
Yeah, they gave yeah. There was like a lot of. He was very well loved, and it was interesting to see that lyric because I was like, oh, what is this? And then I went and looked into it just because they do talk about the Birds in a lot of these songs, which is another. Yeah, yeah, it's a staple. Like the Mendigers premiered a new song at an Eagles game. Like it's.
I mean, they a lot of their merch is, the older logo.
Yeah,
but it's this song is about using nostalgia as an escape.
Yeah,
like because he talks about wanting to die in the suburbs, because that's where he wants to be. He wants to go away in this sense of nostalgia, this old sense of home, because that's what he craves. But he's expecting, because this is where we start getting that hint of that person who is later, I guess revealed as Madeline, in that song. So it comes back to this. He's really expecting them to leave, and because in the previous song that he says the line, I was kind of hoping you'd say, I was kind of hoping you'd say at the end, and this ties back to that line. And I know you're gonna go. Just please leave a note. I left because you asked me to. And that goes forward in the other songs because he sings about how bad he feels about being on the road.
Yeah.
And
it also ties into.
I'll mention more about that.
Yeah, Dismantling Summer has a lot to do with
Dismantling Summer.
Death, but it's about his grandfather and how he had to rearrange his entire life and the tour, and they had to cancel things because he was trying to do all that. But the die. That's one of those
parts where he's talking about leaving that person. He tries not to say who because he doesn't want to, it wants to give, the listeners.
Leave it to interpretation. But I think a big thing in this song is "A Die in the Suburbs" is a heart attack shoveling snow all alone. It's like there is a stability in the idea of the suburbs. It's like you'll stay together because you stay together for the kids. You do all that kind of stuff. Like the suburbs is the ideal quote unquote life where you have a house and the yard where you shovel the snow and things like that. And it's like, if you leave, like I'm alone here, and it's just not. It's not what it should be. But that goes. It's funny they talk so much about snow in that one, and it goes right into dismantling summer from there.
Mm-hmm.
And that one that opens with one of the most nostalgic feelings of summer, like the I'm pulling wings off of insects, I'm peeling back my sunburned skin, just like that feeling.
You peeled
a ton. I actually don't burn as bad as I used to.
Yeah.
But
I don't think I tan as well as I used to.
The line that has stuck with me since I've heard this one is the orange bottles.
Yeah, that was one of the things I noted too.
Was the art they stand seldom? They're standing,
no. So I'm filling your prescriptions. The orange bottles stare me down. They're standing at attention. An army on your windowsill.
Yeah, it's such good image. That's just incredible imagery.
It's like those medications are imposing.
Yeah.
I mean, and they are. I mean, I remember being a teenager and like thinking, "Oh, I have to go to therapy now because I want to hurt myself." And I'm like, I really want to lie and get my way out of this so I don't have to be on medication.
Didn't help.
Didn't help.
Didn't help.
Didn't go back to therapy though until I was in my 20s.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, no, in my 20s.
Yeah. It
still in it. Still good. Doing well.
Yeah, it's a good thing. It the time of Tony Soprano he had left therapy. Just keep that in mind. But it's like a
Fuck.
It is. That's the only time he got killed. Yeah, what else do you have about this song? Because like it's mostly imagery. I didn't take a ton from it. It's a good song.
Okay, so he's talking a lot about how he's losing. It's not just about the people in his life that he is losing. Because there's multiple people in this record, like his grandfather, Madeline, and his childhood best friend, who he talks about. Oh, I'm losing these people. I feel so alone. And I'm on the road, and I feel like I can't help anyone else. But they told me to go and chase my passion. Don't throw away your dreams for me. But he feels so bad about it, and this is where he starts talking about how he's losing. He's losing ground to his depression, the devil in his bloodstream, and it's parallel to the person I guess it's grandfather losing in the hospital.
Yeah, the crowded hospital room, which is
this is a lot about his guilt for being occasionally not being there for his grandfather, I guess.
Yeah, and he's dealing a lot with like trying to figure out like what matters to him. Like, is it his family? Like, what is it? And that's a lot of what he deals with through this album. Is one of the big themes is like what matters to him. Like, what is his like? Who is he? Like, what does that mean? And it's a heavy one. Like this whole album's heavy. It's none of this genre of music is fun.
Pop punk?
The ones I listen to. I don't listen to a lot of fun ones.
I mean, you really like this. I mean, you really like the song. Thank you, New Jersey. Thank you, New Jersey.
I did, but that's about destroying their self-esteem.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not fun. I mean,
man, I don't know if I can. I don't know if I can. I can be like, man, what is happy music?
Yeah, exactly.
Shit, never mind.
So the next one is the bastards, the vultures, and the wolves. And the one I wrote down because it has stuck with me is I know it was an angry kid, but I scraped and scratched for this. Now I'm stuck holding a bomb with a fuse still lit. Like all I can think of is like how
self-destructive it is.
Yeah, I was so
how self-destructive anybody.
Yeah, it did. Like all I could think is like how angry I was for so long, not at myself, and just like
it's
not knowing how to deal with things, and like just not
that frustration that you bottle,
because
you don't know how to properly use it
and you just fight and you fight, and it's like, for what? You still end up with this fucking bomb at the end of the day. You're not helping yourself.
Yeah.
Like, you're still, and it goes to, I came out swinging, but I'm still walking out with 2 black eyes and a split lip. Because you're just, like,
you're losing at the end of the day.
It's
losing.
Yeah, it's the allusion to Came Out Swinging from the past album. But it's just like, you're not, even if
Is this the song where he also says that? Because he does say that again.
I Came Out Swinging?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's a reference to Came Out Swinging.
No, I know that, but like, I don't. Yeah, okay, yeah, this is the song where he says that again.
Yeah. Because the song sees Dan Gable professing his will to triumph over mental illness and his own pride, managing to pull himself out of depressive state. And I spent the winter writing songs about getting better, and if I'm being honest, I'm getting there. But even though he refused to let the depression and anxiety kill him, that doesn't mean he didn't suffer. Like, you can fight and fight, but it's still gonna fucking beat the shit out of you. And, like, you don't get away. There's no winning the fight. And that is... Mental illness runs through all this music because Dan is dealing with it. All the members are dealing with it. It's just like, it is that wolf. Like, it's always there. You can fight, and it's all 3 of these things: the bastard, the vultures, and the wolves. Like, these mental illnesses are still taking, and you can fight, and it's still gonna be there. And the album deals with that.
And I will mention a good bit of that when we get to. What song?
Yeah.
Madeline.
Yeah.
And I want to sell at my funeral. Those 2 I will.
Yeah, Sell at the Funeral is probably the opening. At least isn't the biggest thing for me. But the chorus for this is, I'm waking up at the gospel radio from sleeping with my clothes on. I ended up food for wolves for trying to take the world on. I'm wondering where you would be without me. Like, that is a thought that comes up through this album because it's something that you deal with. Like, what happens if I die? What if I, like...
And that lack of self-care.
Yeah. Like, you came looking for a fight. I came here looking for a fight. And, like, what are you fighting for? Like, why are you fighting? It's just one of those themes that runs through all of it.
And then there's my favorite track, probably of all of their songs, is The Devil in My Bloodstream, which is about that generational trauma and depression. Also, again, starts with imagery. And this is more one of those ones where he throws it back to something nostalgic, but not personally nostalgic, but like culturally nostalgic. Because he talks about, we wiped out all the buffalo around the turn of the last century. The factories and sawgrass, the wheat fields, and asphalt laid in front of me. He's talking about being on the road, but like the Midwest feels like a hollow place, beloved industry, blah, 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 blah. He's talking about being on the road in these places that culturally there's like the nostalgia, but it's not a personal one.
Yeah.
And then he's
shared. It's a shared experience.
And then he starts talking about a funeral. And then you get the 2 blackbirds on a highway sign mocking him.
The verse 2 is one of the best imagery in any of their music. And I searched through my great grandpa's memoirs.
So that was actually inspired like a tattoo idea for me, but I don't know if I want to get it because when I came up with the idea, I don't want to explain it because it was a very I realized it was a triggering thing. It would be a triggering thing for people who would see it. I've explained it to you, right?
I don't think so.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the idea was just like literally just a cut in the arm and like the devil crawling out.
Yeah.
So I mean, it doesn't sound too bad, but it does. I mean, cuts on your arm.
The lyric is, and so I searched my great grandpa's memoirs, The Devil in My Bloodstream. Depression gripped his throat and choked the life out of him slowly, and I've got the same blood coursing through my veins, and it'll come for me eventually. Yeah. And we've talked about this a lot. Like, our family, I don't know who hasn't been an addict.
I mean, our great grandparents were partiers. Their son was an addict. He passed away, and then they both tried to take their lives.
Yeah. I think I genuinely cannot think of a member that is above our generation that doesn't have some sort of mental illness.
No, and I think a lot of our, I mean, we have a lot of cousins, and they still don't know how to properly process it. They weren't brought up with that emotional intelligence at times. Not all of them, who, like, they don't know how to process it right. Like, we have cousins who refuse to go to therapy, but they can't get anywhere.
Yeah, you and I aren't the pinnacles of mental health either.
No, we are absolutely not.
But yeah, it's a very different situation. And the thing is, like, cousins and family.
Yeah, not to shit on my cousins and all that jazz.
No, you're
not my intention.
But
I'm
lot
just
of them
saying, like,
deal with their
when it's so normalized in your family, you don't know. You don't get that, like, way of properly processing it.
Yeah, because we knew our grandfather drank. Like, he drank every day.
Yeah,
they smoke cigarettes, they drunk. Not grandparents, but the one below, drugs, like, all of that stuff has been really prevalent, and like, I don't struggle with it anymore, but, like, I was a very heavy drinker for a very long time.
Yes.
And it wasn't just college, and it's still something that comes up in my head. I'm like, when I'm dealing with this, I'm like, oh, I could just drink and forget about it.
I've made jokes about it before. Like, even when you tried quitting just alcohol, you became addicted to other things. Like, it was strange, but you were, like, addicted to, like, sunflower seeds.
Yeah, because it was like
it was an oral fixation. I mean,
thanks, Freud. No, but it's like, even then, like, I've been burned at the bone for the past, like, 3 months, and it's just like,
yeah, you work yourself to death,
and it's just like, I like look at the liquor cabinet, I'm like, I can just start drinking, and, like, it would just it's fine, like, I'll get over it. It's just like, wait, no, like, this is what got all of your family in the places they are. Like, that's
I never got into that. I watched
for the best.
I used to be. I grew as a teenager. I was, straight edge. I'm not anymore. I don't, because I've since learned that the reason I was, like, essentially just soul searching. Like, I was afraid of myself. I was afraid because I grew up pretty big and strong. Like, I was 5'8" in the 5th grade and, like, 160 pounds. And then I only got bigger from there. So I was always, like, the bigger person around me. Like, I was always afraid of, like, losing control. So that's why I never got into alcohol or any other drugs. I do occasionally drink now because like I said, I trust myself now. But, like, I can still only count on my hands how many times I've had any alcohol.
Yeah, I have a liquor cabinet full of liquor that I don't touch. I just don't.
I mean, most of that's from your 30th, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm not even that. I've had it for quite some time. Yeah.
No, but I feel like people give it, like, that's like a gift people give.
It is, and it is weird because I very specifically said, please don't give me liquor.
Yeah, I mean,
but it's not their responsibility. Like,
no, it's not their responsibility.
Yeah, it's a complicated thing, and it's just kind of weird that
it's a cultural thing.
Yeah. I better be a fucking coward. That verse, I better be a fucking coward. I bet I'd never have the guts for work because I spent another month away from here. These frantic rest stop phone calls can't get answered anymore. Like, he's traveling, but it's like the line
he's
about
comparing
the guts,
it to
what his
great grandfather did.
Yeah.
Was a way, like, dealing with it, and he wrote about, like, that depression and how he was able to fight it, but and this does come up again later, but like, oh, it, and we'll. I mean, I can say it now, but it's in, like the later song. I think it's Madeline, where he's like looking for validation.
Yeah.
Of his feelings.
Yeah. Because this song ends with, I want to be strong, but it's not easy anymore. Like, and it's all about.
No, it's
passed down. And we got into this pretty heavy in the plot episode. Like
Yeah, I mean, depression is one of those things. Like, even when you're healthy, there's some part of you that thinks, "Oh, I'm gonna kill myself. That's how I'm gonna die."
Yeah, and it's a very scary
mm-hmm.
thought to have because it's not your own.
Yeah,
it's a thought.
It's intrusive.
Yeah, and it's like it's very scary to have thoughts, and like people who don't struggle with this, very lucky.
Yeah, like you can't explain to somebody who doesn't have it that you can be like, oh yeah, I walked by a fuse box and I thought to myself, what if I shove my hand in there?
Yeah,
after dousing it in water.
Yeah, like it's not. And I'm very lucky Scarlett doesn't have all this stuff, so somewhat easily stable.
We've had that conversation before. It's just like it was jarring for you when you first realized it.
Yeah, it's like you don't. And like people can understand you, but they can only understand you to a certain point that they don't.
It's the sympathy versus empathy.
Yeah, you don't like when there's some days you just don't want to get out of bed. Like it's gonna like the devil's gonna win some days, and like but you have to still get up. Like you have to fight it, and it's like some days you don't want to do anything. Some days you just like it's just very hard.
Yeah, and then I mean when you especially because like you also couple that with anxiety, which is also a big thing in this.
But it's also like it's your thing.
Like it forces you forward through these parts, these bad depressive episodes, mainly out of like fear of failure.
And I mean the devil in my literature, because like everyone has their own unique. Yeah, everyone gets their own unique brand of their own brand of pain.
Yeah,
like it's not.
And you get your own brands of self-harm, and like it doesn't have to be like something like, oh, I hurt myself this way. It could be just, oh, you're a teenager and you second guess yourself on a test and you're just kind of actively going against your gut, which you know is correct, and you're just kind of ruining your grades on purpose, which I was called out for as a teenager.
The
bridge.
The bridge. I know how it feels to be at war with a world that never loved me, but then it's followed by I'm hoping I'm wrong. Like,
yeah, he's hopeful.
Yeah, your brain is actively fighting against you, but you're the one choosing. I mean, it's all your brain, but like metaphorically, you're choosing to try to see not what your brain is trying to tell you. Your devil. Yeah. But that moves into
Teenage Parents.
That one
it's a good song. And it kind of is the crux and beginning of where he kind of frames that anxiety.
Yeah.
Because I mean he talks about being raised poor and how when you're raised that way, anytime you fail, it's magnified as a way to keep you down.
Yeah.
Or a way of, oh, you failed this way, and you got to remember it so you don't fail again, but like it just makes you afraid to try again.
So the my parents we have different fathers. My parents,
yes,
3 years before you. So very young, stupid.
Yeah.
Not planned. They never got married. They were never together. The thing that I read into, like, it's as an adult, when this came out, it was like, oh man, my parents sucked, but they were kids. Like, I
Yeah.
couldn't do what they did at my
I mean,
age.
my dad is 5 years older than our mom.
Yeah.
So he was already in his career.
It's,
So it was a little different for him. But also, like, for me, I've been thinking about this recently because just like the economics of their backgrounds. Because mom grew up upper middle class.
yeah.
Father our grandfather made a great bit of money, and our grandmother didn't do too bad herself. I mean, granted, she did become like a nurse, but her mother was a scientist.
Wait, what?
Yeah, did you know that?
She was. Yeah.
He was a scientist. And her grandfather was a union boss. Her father was a union boss. Possibly, mob. Who knows?
Yeah. Just one of those things.
One of those times.
But for me, like, being the child of like teenage parents, like, now that I'm an adult, I see that they were kids, and the lines here, all we had were hand-me-downs and all we had was goodwill. It's not literally hand-me-downs and goodwill for me. It's they only had what they were taught by their parents, and all they had was goodwill. Like, I've talked about it. I think I was very drunk on my birthday, but my dad has worked every single day of his life, even before.
Yeah, your dad has done well for himself
because he's worked harder than anyone. He's literally.
And did he handle everything perfectly?
No, but that's the thing. Like,
he's
he
trying.
was a kid.
He definitely has tried.
He never got to be a young adult. He never got to do these things because he had a child. No. Like, at the end of the day, like, you still have to, and like, he's dealt with it his own way. And is it healthy? No, but like,
they talked about Dolly Parton.
they did their best. It's something you're always gonna have to deal with, but it's like they did the best that they could. One has their own thoughts, and one has their own thoughts as well, and being caught in the middle.
We're gonna watch all of them succumb to the lead paint that they inhaled as a child.
It's rough being caught, and they don't. Yeah, but I heard the voices, the implications, telling me who I could never be, and that line is like, my two parents are very different people, and you didn't have to deal with having two, like, your parents were together,
two sets of families.
Yeah, it's not.
I mean, you have. You have 5 siblings, including myself. Honestly, it's funny because you're closest to the oldest and the youngest of your siblings.
Yeah. It's the whole thing is weird because, like, I'm the only one.
Yeah, you are the only one. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like no one else gets, like, you can't because you're. I get all the flaws of both of them.
Yeah, I kind of have that perspective because I was, I grew up with the closest to you.
Yeah.
And I'm the oldest, closest in age. And I mean, unlike Sophia, our sister, well, my full sister, your first half sister, I actually was brought along when you would go see him on his, when it was his time. And I would watch it. It was strange because it was like, I can see what you're saying. Like, you are the only one who would get that perspective. Because I was brought along because you would seem lonely. Because, I mean, at times, because, you spent most of your time with us. and then go over. So you would have more friends where we lived and things like that.
Yeah, but it's even like all that. End of the day, I don't think as anyone is half siblings or anything like that. But
No, nothing like that. I don't believe that at all. I'm just saying as like
it's-
a clarification.
Yeah, I'm still the
of
one that has
where
to like.
yeah.
I'm still the one that has to deal with both of them and
Yeah.
figure that out. And oof. But the next song is Chaser. I think you have more thoughts on this than I do. What is Chaser?
Not really.
To you? What is that to you?
It's a good pop punk song.
Yeah, no, like what do you think it means? Like I couldn't like.
So
I took it as a chaser. Like
yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking.
Like you're not the main thing. You're the person that comes after.
Yeah, and he's kind of talking about that like himself. Like what the fuck? All right. Yeah, it's kind of just like he's, I'm a chaser. I've found stronger winds, or yeah, he's just kind of. I don't know. I really don't.
The thing that the part of this one, it's a good song, but it's like the thing that's got to me the most is please don't make me feel like a disaster. I'm learning to put the pieces back together and turning the aching to composure. It's like you can take all of these broken parts and like you can put them together to be something. That's the biggest part that stuck out to me is like, please don't think I'm don't look at me the way I look at me, because then if I can't put something together, then how are you going to love someone that can't do that? Yeah.
I was trying to figure out what the FSF for the next song is.
Fuck School Forever.
Yeah, Fuck School Forever. I
so
see that.
Track number 9 is An American Religion. Fuck School Forever.
And that I do have a little more. It's kind of how touring has its struggles and how he's just anxious about how he's gonna fail, and then he feels like everyone's rooting against him, but he kind of projects it onto whatever relationship he's kind of implying in the song of they're paying for bullets to shoot at my feet. Does that make you happy? And this is not going to be the last time he projects his insecurities onto the supposed relationships of he has around his career of touring, of music, and things like that. Like he believes that I have these thoughts, other people must have them about me as well.
Yeah. The big thing that I didn't take a ton from this, but the Truman will always.
I mean, it's not. I don't think it's a long song either.
Yeah, it's not.
It's like a minute. It's a minute shorter than the rest of it.
Yeah, Truman's always going to be remembered for dropping the bomb. I'll always be remembered for my fuck ups, but I'm still living like.
And Richie's
Truman dropped the bomb. Like, then I'm always going to remember for my fuck ups. Like in your head, that's how big your fuck ups are. Like you think they're as significant as that, but some people don't even notice. They don't care. But you are the one amplifying it. Like you're seeing it, and you're like, oh fuck.
And that's how some people will become people who apologize as a reflex because they're insecure about how they affect others. When most people don't give a shit about how you affect them, unless you're like actively going out of your way to hurt them. Most people don't think about it.
Yeah.
You play a lot less of an active role in people's lives than you'd think.
I think you realize. The next track.
A rain dance in traffic.
The title alone is just like Jesus.
Yep, it's he's kind of given up, but he's going through. He says, "I'm going through the motions," but he wants a storm to wash him away, to take his agency, so he doesn't have to deal with anything.
The chorus So the fighter in me must have died a long time ago.
Yeah.
I must have been watching his ghost, just going through the motions, just putting on a face. It feels like 1929 and I'm on the verge of a great collapse today. The Great Depression. He's like, he's on the verge of just dropping. And like,
but like he's still going.
Yeah, it's what I do. It's just like, you push yourself far and you just go through the motions.
Yeah.
Like you're not even there. You're just doing, like, you're not the driver. You're a passenger and you're watching your body just do what you know it'll do.
Yeah. Like, I've been thinking mostly about my own life recently, and like I feel like I've depersonalized a lot and just kind of gone. Like I can't look at myself in the mirror and think, oh yeah, that's me. And I'm like, oh, how the fuck did this happen? And how has this been going on for so long? Because I'm like thinking to myself, I can't look at myself in the mirror because like I think of myself in my brain. I'm still like 19 years old or even sometimes 14 years old. And like there's these jumps where I don't view that person as me. And that's how I kind of thought about that song.
Yeah. That's something you need to tell your therapist.
I did.
Good. Because that's a disassociated identity. That's not a good thing. I mean, it's not a good thing. But
no. I recognize the problem. There have been like a few times where I'll like pop back in, like late Christmas Eve, 2021, when we had that Zoom call. That time,
I barely remember.
And then
that.
I was fine for like a year,
and
then it started dropping off again. But I caught myself doing it.
Yeah. As you get older, you get better coping with that.
Yeah.
So the chorus for this, I was just happy to be a contender. I was just aching for anything. I was just happy to be a contender is actually a reference to a Scorsese movie, Raging Bull with De Niro. I could have been a contender. I could have been somebody, something like that. But it's about fighting, and I was just aching for anything. And I used to have this is the part that really got me. And I used to have such steady hands, but now I can't keep them from shaking. Is things that like your anxiety, like before maybe you could have handled it. Like maybe you would have been, but because you've been doing this for so long, it's like, am I gonna have to keep doing this? Like, is this gonna be forever? And that's the ultimate fear. Is like when your hands keep shaking, what do you do to make them stop? Like that's end of the day, like that's the fear. Like that's at the root of all of it. It's like, what am I gonna do? But yeah, that one's a lot. Madeline, track 11. What are your? Because you probably have more thoughts on this than I do.
Yes, I actually have a lot. I think I actually found that I wrote the most about this.
Let me knock mine out first, then, just because they're quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
It Must Get Lonely by the Chesapeake. We grew up in the Chesapeake Bay.
Yes, we did.
Devil in the Bloodstream reference. I know how the Irish goodbye feels. That's rough. That's like you're getting ghosted. Like it's you're just leaving.
An Irish goodbye, for anybody who's curious and doesn't know what that means, it means like you leave a party without saying goodbye to anybody.
Yeah, or leave life without saying goodbye to
Yeah.
Yeah, he actually wrote the song for a girl he cares about, who shared his beliefs. But and then
the song it definitely feels about him searching for validation of his feelings, but it also feels like he's projecting.
Yeah, it does feel like projecting. You and I got this East Coast blood between us, and he goes on to describe what East Coast blood is like, because I think it is a unique brand of person. What do you got? It is. I really I believe you're right with the projecting, because it feels like he's saying like, oh, maybe you're not, like maybe you don't really feel those things.
Yeah. So one of those projecting things is, I know you think they're all your friends. They're lying to you straight to your face. I know about the devil in your bloodstream. I know the ghosts still visit nightly. He is definitely projecting there. Like he's like, yeah, I know you have depression as well, and you have the same problems that I do. do you feel that same way? And he says he starts asking her if she really afraid of death, or does she say that because it's a societal norm, and she is afraid to say that she's not afraid of death because she's afraid of what people would think, and that's him, him seeking that validation of, I do I actually, he's like, do I fear death? Is it okay that I don't? Is it okay that I kind of want it? And it's not, he's looking for camaraderie in this fight against the, depression, the devil in his bloodstream, this mental illness that he knows that she also has. But he starts talking about what kind of man he is for not being there. Yeah, if I'm not doing right by my family, then what's the point of it anyway? Mm-hmm. Mentioning, he feels bad about being away from his family when they need him and things like that. It's also important to know that this is the acoustic track record.
Yeah. There's a motorcycle.
I do want them, huh?
A motorcycle.
Is that?
A motorcycle just went by. It was very loud.
Go wrestling. Yeah, I want to say this song on the if they do another Burst and Decay, but I don't, because Burst and Decay is when they rearrange all their songs to be acoustic or other things, mostly just acoustic stuff, the softer tracks. I want to see this one fully pop punked. I really do.
Yeah,
because I think it would be interesting. Yeah. But yeah, he's just kind of, he feels like he found a kindred spirit and he wants more validation.
So, track 12, Cul-de-sac, is probably the roughest for me.
Yeah, it's
about
the failure of a friendship
because his friend was addicted to drugs, and
and
the cul-de-sac. We lived in a cul-de-sac. I had 3 best friends growing up. I only have 2.
I had a lot of bullies.
Yeah, well, give me a second. The third person overdosed and died.
Yeah,
this song is rough because
he was probably one of the nicest people to me.
Yeah.
There was, oh shit, everybody who was nice to me in that neighborhood actually dead.
Yeah, Frankie. Yeah,
Frankie, Timmy.
I grew up with this kid. We used to have sleepovers pretty much every weekend. We were in classes together. Like I hung out with his family. Like I was always at his house, or he was at our house. And then
he would hang out with me even when you weren't there.
Yeah, because he had it rough. But like, this song goes into, and there's another song that deals with the loss of him a lot more. But like, there's a line that like you're kids, you're like, oh, we're adults, like we'll go do this stuff, and like, the one line that like is rough is, I thought my kids would call you uncle. I thought I'd never be alone. Like you never think your friend's gonna be dead. No. Like you like assumed he would be there the rest of your life, and he isn't. So it's like really rough hearing this song because like there's another line. What was it? I know I'd have like he's talking about the boyhood recklessness, the shit we used to do. Just like There's here it is. Well, I know that I'd have flashbacks of snow angels and gut laughs. Like, this is the guy that, like, I would call first on snow days to go, like, just fuck around the neighborhood and get into trouble or whatever.
He had he had his hat, his, like, the snowboarding helmet hat.
Yeah, and, like, now he's dead. So it's, like, it's rough to, like, have all that, and, like, sometimes I'll look at his, like, Facebook messages, and I'm letting go because I loved you, and but I have to. So it's, like, rough. Yeah. Because, like, they're gone. So, yeah. And, this is the rough album.
Yeah, and then, so, on the same note, there was an older kid in our neighborhood, who was just he was kind of a thug to a lot of adults, and he was treated that way. So I got bullied a lot, in our neighborhood, and I got my ass kicked a few times. But he was kind of one of the people that stood up for me against them, and they kind of left me alone, after that. But yeah, he was treated so poorly. He eventually ended up killing himself, while he was on drugs after, like, poor family life, being, like, cut off from his older. Yeah, he was eventually cut off from his older stepbrother, who he looked up to, things like that. Like, I remember going into his house one time, and it was, like, dingy and, like, dark.
Yeah, hell, I remember. We used to play. I used to play PlayStation with him a lot. He taught me how to ride a bike. Like,
oh, really? I didn't know.
Yeah, no one else. Like, our parents, no one could ever get me to do it. But then, he taught me and hung himself. So
yeah, but I remember. So he was in high school. He was a freshman in high school, and I was in the second or third grade. And he got himself detention for the entire year because he punched a teacher in the face. Because the teacher mocked him openly in front of the whole class because he only got one question right on a test. I think about him a lot.
He used to hang out in trees.
He did. He also had, like, 3 friends that he was always with.
Yeah, Joe Patino.
The one,
not Joe Patino. It was Joey, the one who found him. Joey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Joey was the one whose cat was always around the neighborhood chaos.
Yep.
Yeah. I remember that cat.
But then the final track is...
Yeah, final track.
A lot of fun. I just want to sell out my funeral. That's a lot. This song's a lot.
Yes, it is.
So it's literally about selling it. Like, I just want to sell out my funeral. I just want to be enough for everyone. I want to sell out my funeral and know that I fought until the lights are gone.
It ties back all of the themes of anxiety and depression, insecurity, and the production of that, and a lot of the choruses are brought back in.
Yeah.
Like, I'm awkward and nervous. What kind of man does that make me? 2 blackbirds on a highway sign laughing at me, blah, blah, blah. And it's really about how he's got to move past it. And it's like a reflection of this whole thing. And he wants to move forward, but he ultimately knows it's not that easy.
And he knows you die in the end, and he wants.
Yes, he knows that's whether it's suicide or some form of depression, depressive reason for death.
Yeah,
it's always looming there. Like, you can be perfectly healthy, and you're still positive the cause of your death will be yourself.
Yeah. The lyrics that exact word.
It's a morbid understanding.
The bury me in the memories of my friends and family. I really like that line because it's like you want to live on in those memories and not.
That's
your death. Like you want to live. You want them to have those memories of you and not any of that. But like the I'm scared shitless of failure, and I'm starting to like, get where I want to be. Like those types of things. I'm scared shitless, and I'm staring out at where I want to be. Like you see the future, you're scared shitless of like failing, but you're still going to do it anyway because you want this. You want to live your life to the fullest because you want to sell at your funeral. Like you want to do well by everyone.
Yeah, and you want people to be there and remember you fondly.
You want people to give a shit. Like you want people to care that you're gone. And that's like that's really the climax of all of these ideas and all of the things you deal with and all the culmination of all of that. But the thing that it's the end. It's literally the last three stanzas of the album is we all want to be great men and there's nothing romantic about it. I just want to know that I did all I could with what I was given. Like you want to be able to do as much with your life as with what you were given. Which is a very heavy thing, but I think it's a positive step. Like it's you want to do the most with what you were given, which draws the things like you're pushing yourself too far, constantly going into this battle and all that stuff. Is like you only get to do this once, so why not push as far and as hard as you can to sell out the funeral. It's a big ending, and it's like 13 minutes long. I think it's
7.5.
It's 7. Yeah, I mean still way longer than every other song on the album.
Yeah.
I thought it was. It's the 13th track. That's what the number was in my head.
Yeah. Well, it really ties the whole record together at the end perfectly, succinctly. But I do want to point out that the song "Cul-de-sac" does like that story is more fleshed out in their next record.
Yeah.
No Closer to Heaven in the song I Wanted So Badly to Be Brave, and I really like it on The Burst and Decay, Volume 2, where it's the acoustic. It's a lot softer. I think it conjures up more of a nostalgic, loving feeling in that version.
Yeah. But I think all their albums are fantastic. It's just like this is.
Yeah. Well, the upsides exist.
I like the upsides. I don't hate it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I just don't think he came into himself at that point. That and on the rarities. But like that's just what those are. Like they were old stuff.
Well, that was a super depressing
episode.
Thanks for sticking with it. Next week is the Front Bottoms. I forgot the name of the album. The Town of the Hawk.
Yeah.
Which is a little bit more fun. Is Father on that one?
No, Father's not on that one. You are my peach.
That's an upbeat poppy song, right?
Yeah. I had to turn that off in the car. That and the song I Want to Be Put into a Medically Induced Coma. That's a different band, but
Jesus Christ. Yeah, you can't listen to that one.
No.
It's not COVID's fault. Thanks for listening. You can find us at gatecrashers.fam for all the things that we do. hey, we'll see you next week for more music mayhem. Get ready for some more depression. Catch you in a week.
Size mattress.
It's the big concussions.